Okay. So this one was called
Glenlivet,
the Glenlivet
12-year.
12-year. That's good.
You like it?
Yeah, that's good. I like
it's
it a lot.
easy. It's very
Yeah.
very easy to drink.
Yep. And yeah, that could be dangerous. This one definitely is. It's a lot smoother than some of the other ones that I've
Had so far.
Yeah, and like I love Bullet. Bullet whiskey's probably one of my favorites, and this is there. So it's like, all right, it's definitely above
I like
Bullet.
Bullet. I like Maker's Mark. Those are kind of my go-to, especially if I'm going to do like an old fashioned. I really like to use Maker's Mark.
She loves old fashions. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are delicious.
They're really good. Yeah, and you know what's hard? It's really hard to find anybody that makes a really good old fashioned.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, you guys are gonna hear a baby in the background. Sorry.
Cue
It's gonna happen.
Milo.
Just gonna happen. So, yeah, we never introduced ourselves. I'm Scott.
I'm Spenny.
Yeah. Sam's here. Shawn's here.
This is Milo.
And Milo's here. Daisy's in the background. So, yeah, that's what's great about doing this. You don't have to. I mean, I just do what I do. Turn it on and let's go. Let's talk.
Talk, chat, capture some good moments.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. So a lot of people were talking about if they get to do interviews with you, they want to know a lot about you. Like your students really want to know. Did you not see the chat on there?
No, I have no
Really?
idea. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It sounds like secret conversations.
It really so the guys were really kind of interested. They want to know more about what's going on with you and Shawn. So they asked if we ever get a chance to sit down and talk and just kind of get a little bit of history on you too. So this is a good chance to do that, I believe.
Sure.
So and you guys can chime in anytime you want or not. She's not real talkative, so she probably won't say a word.
Yeah, no need to feel shy. We're just chatting.
Yes. So, and I can edit anything out that I need to, so don't stress it.
We won't ruin your podcast.
Nah, hell no.
Yeah, because
Bring it on.
Samantha's extreme.
Oh, sweet.
She says a lot of really inappropriate things.
Good.
Yeah.
As long as it's not
We're
me.
just getting that out of the way.
As long as it's not me, I'm good. I can't get in trouble.
Oh, is it?
No.
Oh, yes.
It is not. Anyways, we're not. I'll edit that shit out. Okay, so one of the main questions that I saw on there through a lot of the live chats was, look at Milo's like,
Take that.
that's mine. What brought you to jiu-jitsu and what brought you into, like, what brought you to jiu-jitsu? What was the big thing that you're like, oh, the aha moment that this is it?
Well, I definitely had an aha moment that introduced me to jiu-jitsu, but I think it really was instilled throughout my entire life, being the youngest of brothers and getting beat up a lot, being the run of the litter. So I just kind of, grew up a little bitch, got beat up and bullied, and, I pretty much grew up. I never got in any fights. I never had been attacked. I've always been a cool kid, always got along with everybody, but I always had that feeling like, oh man, I am not a tough guy, especially if you see my dad, the dad who raised me. He's super burly, Grizzly Adams looking guy, 6-something, 200-something, strong. Yeah, yeah. So nothing like me. I mean, I'm like a 90-pound, stick of cinnamon. So I always just felt like a little twerp. I always felt like, oh man, I just would really like to learn how to fight. So then, I think I was like 17. A buddy of mine was a black belt in karate and kickboxing and stuff. So he beat me up in his garage a few times, and I hated it. But I even then I kind of knew like, oh man, I'm not good at this. And then we grappled a couple of times, and he taught me some jiu-jitsu, some stuff that he learned. That was actually really bad, quality. But I mean, nobody knew any better, so he taught me some, some techniques that weren't really up to par. And I think just solely for the fact that he wasn't schooled in grappling, when we decided, oh, we're gonna spar in his garage. We're rolling around on concrete, you know, and we don't know any better. And he just had a hard time holding me down because I was like just super spazzy. I mean, honestly, at the time he was like, I think you're really, really good. No, I was just spazzing out, freaking out, you know, writhing a lot. So I was like, he goes, I think grappling's gonna be your thing. And I was like, I think grappling's gonna be my thing. Yeah, I think so. And then he broke his collarbone. And then he couldn't teach me anymore, and I was actually a little relieved because I hated just getting punched in the face all the time, you know, by my buddy in his garage. So then another buddy of mine was, he joined the Army, so he would come back home on leave, and I would go and visit him, and every time I would pass, I would see Half Gracie opening soon. Half Gracie Brazilian Jiu Jitsu opening soon, opening soon, opening soon.
Where was that at?
That was in Chino Hills.
It was, okay.
Yeah. So I just kind of made a mental note of it, and then my brother, my oldest brother, the meanest one at the time, he beat me up the most. He got into UFC, MMA, and he's actually a huge MMA nerd. Like he follows everybody. He follows the game very, very closely. He always has.
And even now, I mean, there's so much shit going on right now.
Yeah.
I mean, like every weekend.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And he follows it.
Really?
Yeah, he's always kept track. And I always said, like, it's kind of like he's the one who belonged on the mat the whole time. He's the one who should have been training. So he was telling me about jiu-jitsu, and the name was just so dumb to me. Jiu-jitsu, it just sounded so like fake and not real, and just I don't know. I pictured like wushu and like very flowy martial arts. You would practice katas, and I was like jiu-jitsu, whatever, blah blah blah. And he was like, no, it's legit, it's real. There's these guys, these Gracie guys, they're kicking butt. They're it's an all grappling art, and I'm like, grappling art?
Yeah, wait a minute.
Grappling art. Oh, I didn't know that. And so then, that conversation stuck out to me. Gracie's and jiu-jitsu, all grappling art. And then when I went to visit my friend who came back again, I saw that banner changed from opening soon to grand opening. And I was like, oh, shoot. Let me go check it out. And then I walked in, and they had actually been open for 2 months, 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
And I met Laura, and she's like, oh, yeah, cool. Look, come back. Come into the back room. We got class going on right now. And I walked back, and I saw Gabriel teaching. And
Gabriel Costa.
Gabriel Costa, yeah. So she goes, yeah, so this is Gabriel. He just flew in from Brazil. And they're like, Gabriel, come over here, come meet him. And Gabriel's, just came. So his English, his English was pretty rough. And he introduced himself to me, and I was just like, yeah, he's Brazilian. It's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This place is legit.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so then I showed up, I don't know, in a day or two, and tried class, signed up, and then, 10 and a half years later.
What was it like the first time you actually took a class from Gabriel? What was it?
It was
do you remember?
extraordinarily embarrassing is what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. So remember that I've had grappling experience before, doing garage karate, right? So like I know how to grapple, I know how to wrestle some guys. So I show up thinking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat up some white belts, probably hang out with the blue belts. You know how it is. I know what I'm doing. I know my way around the floor. And I got paired up with Terrence Quinn.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, who's
really
a ratty blue belt at the time.
No kidding.
Yeah. Now, unbeknownst to me, he was actually going through some life stuff, so he had a lot of things to work out, and I had no idea. And Gabriel just pairs him up with me, like, "Hey, go with him." And Terrence is kind of like, "Yeah, whatever." And he murdered me so bad, and I remember feeling so embarrassed, and oh man, it was just amazing though, because this is just step 2, the blue belt, and this guy's just murdering me so bad. There's nothing I can do, and there was feelings of like, I don't think I can do this. This is going to be too intense for me. I think this is going to be too crazy. And then immediately going off of him, I started to go with the white belts again, like started to gravitate towards them. Like, okay, I'll just grab a white belt and see how this goes. A white belt, 3 stripes. He was a kid, maybe 16 years old, and just again murked me, just extraordinarily bad. It was just everybody's had their first day at jiu-jitsu, so everybody's had that slice of humble pie that they weren't ready for. And it was rolling with the kid that made me think, all right, if this kid could do this, then I can. If he could learn how to be, this savage, then I can too.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. That's what told me I could do it. And it's silly because I've always been small, so I'm like 19 years old by the time this is happening. So I was maybe 100.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, we had dogs and cats freaking out. Sorry. We're at the house and everybody's just losing their minds. It's the cat's fault. I told you, Oliver is possessed. Nobody believes me. Oliver is possessed.
You see ghosts? What's going on?
Yeah, you just chased it out of the house.
Oh my gosh. She's about to chase us out of the house.
I know.
God. Somebody grab my gun. Do you know where it's at?
Whoa.
So I'm 19 years old, and I think I'm about 120 pounds, 118 pounds at the time. And I'm like looking at a 16-year-old kid who's like athletic, 140, and I'm thinking, well, I'm older than he is. I'm an adult. I should be able to beat him up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, no. I mean, this kid's bigger, stronger, faster. He's an athlete, and he has probably 9 months of, experience on me.
Right.
Of course, he just wrapped me up in the knots. But still, I felt like if this kid can learn it, I can learn it.
I think that's one of the things people underestimate. I think when they first go in there, too. I did the same thing when I was invited to go to my first class. It wasn't really a class. It was just me and Dan at the time, and it was on a Saturday. Pedro comes down. That was with Pedro Cavallo and Rancho Cucamonga.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go down there, and Dan's all. Well, the way I learned about it was they were talking about the UFC where I worked at the casino, and then Dan he would come into work and he'd be like, he'd have a black eye, he'd have a split lip or something. I'm like, dude, what the hell do you do, man? Yeah, I know you didn't get in a fight at work today. And he goes, oh no. He goes, I do this thing. It's called jiu-jitsu. I'm like, all right. And mind you, this is back in 94, 93, 94, somewhere around there. Like I think it was maybe UFC 1, 2, or 3. I don't even remember. It's been so long. I'm old. So Dan's all, just, dude, come down, check it out, see what it's like. Just experience it. And all right. So on one Saturday, I showed up down there, and it was just me and Dan, and we go over to. He gives me this uniform and says, "All right, this is what we're gonna do." And he goes, "You're not gonna know anything, so I'm gonna teach you an arm bar, and then I'm gonna have you just attack me, and that's all we're gonna do for this round." And I said, "All right, cool." So Pedro comes down, and Dan introduces me, and of course he's Brazilian, so you can barely understand a word he says. He's like, "Okay, go roll."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks. Whatever. So, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 taps later, I was like, yeah, I like this. This is legit. This is fun. Fell in love with it, and just started staying with it.
Did you have any previous martial arts experience?
Nothing whatsoever. Wanted to, always. I wasn't real athletic. Football was terrible for me. I was always too small for football and too big for tennis, I guess. I don't know. So I never had any martial arts experience at all, just jiu-jitsu. And I don't know that it would have changed anything, really. I mean, I fell in love with it. It was just great. So watching people grow through it and just seeing how it brought everybody together, and I don't know. I liked it a lot. I liked the camaraderie. I liked the family atmosphere. Although at that time it really wasn't family atmosphere. Those guys hated each. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of hate in that gym.
Interesting.
That I didn't know about. And hopefully one day I'll be able to explore that a little more. But was that personal vendettas against each other, or was it a competition machismo thing? I think it was a machismo thing. I really do, and I think it was. And of course, Pedro was the king of the mat, so that was never a question with him. But there were lower belts that were like, I think at the time blue and purple that were, going at it, that were really not happy with the way things were done. So, and I think they were all trying to prove a point. So it was kind of interesting to see that. And now they're all doing their own thing. So it's a good thing, I guess. But yeah, so I don't know. And then got to my blue belt and quit for a while. Had family life, had things going on, work, kids. And
You almost became a statistic. That blue belt.
Exactly.
Statistic.
Yeah, it's kind of and a lot of people, it's true, that's what happens. They get to a blue belt or they get to that level and they kind of give up because they just kind of, I don't know, it takes a long time. This is not a sport that you can get a black belt in. There's some obviously phenoms.
Yeah, some savages.
But, yeah, let's not, but I think overall through everybody, you cannot get a black belt in under 6 years. I can't see that happening. There's so many things that you have to learn and so many things that you have to accomplish to get that to that level. I mean, unless you train 3 days, or 3 times a day, 7 days a week, it's just, I don't know. Or you have wrestling background or, stuff like that. I know there's phenoms out there, but yeah, it just doesn't, I don't know. So it took me a while, but after a while, I finally got my black. So now I'm just wishing I could have my brown belt back. So
yeah, I definitely feel like the black belt is the biggest set of shoes that I need to fill.
Well, you're doing a great job at it because I know a lot of people admire how you handle things and the way you do things and the way you teach, the way you instruct, the way you care about everybody. It shows. It shows on the mat. It shows. They say the mats don't lie, and they don't. You see it every day that you train and every day that you teach. So
That's good.
Thank you. No, it's true though. Paul and I talk about that all the time. How it shows with you. So it's a calling. I believe. Like we were talking earlier today. I just think that you have that certain je ne sais quoi.
Mm-hmm.
So that certain. So I think people like that. I think people they gravitate to that. They gravitate. I think people also gravitate to the teachers that are the normal. Like MMA fighters are a different breed. They gravitate to the guys that are gonna they drill hard, they fight hard, they do all that stuff. I think that's one thing, but I think like the general consensus of people will gravitate to people that have that nice guy kind of thing. I don't know how to explain it.
I mean, of course, a gym is going to be more attractive if the instructor's approachable.
Yeah, they're perfect.
Yeah, I think a lot of how I've been building the gym from day one, it's kind of been experimenting. Like I kind of hope that this is going to work.
Right.
But I always went off of the rule of thumb. My own rule of thumb is create the environment you would want to train in. And I mean, you and I have been screwed over by instructors, by black belts, So something that I'm trying to do from the very, very beginning, from the very, very get-go, is just remind everybody that I'm a human, that this, cloth around my waist doesn't make me any better than you.
Right.
I have embarrassing stories, I have embarrassing things, they just don't happen to me as often anymore because I've been doing this a while. But, like, just because I'm at this part of the journey does not make me any better, any higher. And I constantly try to playfully tear myself down and put myself on everybody else's level, just so they know. There's no mistaking. There's no chance that that anybody would put me in an unhealthy point of view, pedestal in their life.
Right.
I don't want that.
Right.
I'm willing to do whatever and be whatever I can be for you in your life. Mostly friend, and just I'll teach you jiu-jitsu along the way. I'm not going to try to teach you life lessons. That is going to be a side effect of training and
I agree.
And letting my integrity show in the long run that I'm not going to screw you over. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just super sad. I'm not looking to rob you. I'm not looking to break your family up. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Huh. Yeah. So that's a whole
Time.
nother.
Yeah, time will show that.
Yeah, for sure. It does. It absolutely does, and that's something that unfortunately happens a lot in jiu-jitsu. I think it happens in a lot of martial arts, but I think because we're so in, deep into it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an odd thing. So, but yeah. So it's just a different vibe, I think, too, with jiu-jitsu, and just the fact that we're able to kind of monitor that a little closer, I think, because I think we do have a lot of instructors out there that really do get involved and they're pretty intense with like the community and making sure that everybody stays legit. So you don't have to go anywhere. You're good. This is.
But yeah, it's a lot easier to. It's probably just because of technology itself, social media.
Yeah.
Like if you can't get away with anything anymore, and it's the same. Like there's checks and balances within the community of itself. I mean, look at like those fake black belt,
right.
You know,
I love seeing
lynchings.
I love those.
Yeah, those witch hunts.
Yeah.
Like you can't get away with it, and if you're gonna be a scummy person, you can't get away with that either.
Right.
So in that regard, yeah, that's better. That's easy.
Yeah.
And the fact that I've had Gabriel always be the rock solid guy, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like black belts have come and gone, and they've been skeezy, but Gabriel has just been such a top notch person.
And then we lost him.
He is now a sheriff's deputy, so
yeah.
He retired after 10 years of teaching.
Yeah.
Oh, there's my son just screaming.
And it sounds so much different when the headphones, doesn't it? Yeah, it's so weird. So,
but yeah, I'm just very, very thankful that not only did I meet a really, really good instructor, a really, really good, solid guy, but I was lucky enough to meet him at the very beginning, and everybody else who came and went, I wasn't relying on to a point,
Right.
I always had Gabriel to be that steadfast, vigilant, top-notch integrity role model, and I admire him for that. That's always going to be why I will hold him in such high regard for until the day I die.
Well, yeah, no, I 100%. I don't know that there's anybody out there that would disagree with that. And if they do, then they're gonna have, I don't know, several black belts and several blue, purple belts, and everybody coming at him going, no, that's bullshit. So, Gabriel is definitely one of those guys. From the first time you meet him, it's very well. Number one, it's humbling because he's just so good, but you just know that he's genuine right out the gate. Like he doesn't. There's no hiding. There's no nothing. That's just Gabriel, and thoroughly enjoyed training with him. Wish I could have gotten more time in with him. Guy was amazing. Shawn is now taking up that mantle, and man, I get wrecked. I just get wrecked. Going back to the, being human. It's funny. I think people forget that just because you get a black belt doesn't mean you're not human. It's. I'm human. You get on the mat and you make mistakes, you do things, you don't eat right, you drink heavily, you do whatever it is you do, and then you go in and train, and you're just human. You make mistakes, you do things, and I think that's one thing that I enjoyed about training too, is it definitely levels you out. Like it reminds you, you're human.
Yeah.
So
don't forget where you are on the food chain.
Yeah. Exactly. Man, yeah, get on the mat with you or Paul or Shawn and Jackson. It's just coming back after 2 months and not doing a whole lot of cardio at all. I was just afraid I was gonna throw up. But man, it was a lot of fun. But it was tough. It's a tough night to get all three of you guys out there, and then anybody else that was there. It was just a tough night all the way around. So
Yeah, it's like the bills due.
yeah, I get so tired.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah.
My first training back, or my first training session coming back. Yeah, it's really.
It's rough.
But
So you were one of the first to go from white to black.
yeah, I was the first.
You are the first.
I am the first.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody who's gotten their black belt under that school had come in later. They had come in as a blue belt or higher.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've been pretty even with a couple of other guys there. There's kind of like a unspoken, like who a little race, who's gonna get it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I trained really hard. I trained a lot, and that was a little thing that I wanted. And I realized that after I had gotten it, or as I was leading up to it, that I actually kind of wish I had shared it with one other guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
Just because we go way back. I think
Yeah.
that would have been a little poetic if I had somebody else with that.
Yeah.
Especially because this particular training partner, he actually beats me up.
Are you able to say who it is? Or
you
you don't have to.
Yeah, Michael Moore.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
so Michael
Okay.
Moore is 7 feet tall and muscular and flexible, and he's just too big for me to handle.
Yeah.
I have a heck of a time just keeping up with him and staying alive.
Yeah.
So
Mike's definitely
and that's
force to be
another
reckoned with.
weird thing. It's like no matter what, I'm always gonna feel like kind of like a Yorkshire Terrier. You know what I mean? Like I'm small, I'm tiny, but I feel like I should be able to beat up those Rottweilers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I do have an ego thing where I look at my belt that says, "Oh, I need to be better than you," and man, I'm my whole entire body is investing in an arm bar, and
Yeah.
they just bicep curl me.
Perfect.
Yeah, and it's like I need to let it go, and I need to understand that it's just because I know a lot of jiu-jitsu is why I have what I have, and I think it's a miracle in of itself that I can even hang and just kind of fend somebody off that size for as long as I can. That's the miracle of jiu-jitsu. And
I agree with that.
yeah, you just gotta be happy with your little victories and what's realistic. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've ever felt that way. Ever had like a little bit of a rivalry, somebody who started like 4 years after you did or whatever, and just the way your games sync up, they always just get the better of you. And
Scott Peterson was mine.
Oh,
Yeah, this kid named Scott Peterson down at Pedro's. Yeah, I'd been training for a while, and I was probably a fresh blue belt, and he just came in, and man, he skyrocketed. He was like one of those guys, lived at the gym, trained at the gym, ate at the gym, just did it all, and within 6 months he was a blue belt, and then moved on up, and man, he was just tearing me up, and I'm like, oh man, no way can this guy. I started long before him. There's no way this isn't right. So I don't know. He ended up leaving. I don't know. I think he was a purple belt when he left. Moved to South Dakota or something, and hasn't. I don't think he trains anymore. So it's kind of a.
yeah, it's crazy when that happens, right?
Yeah.
Somebody who used to just mercilessly beat you up,
Yeah.
and then they disappear for a while, and you get a couple belts up, and they come back, and then they're just a ball of yarn.
Yeah.
And you're just
You're
like, you used to beat me up.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
happened here?
Yeah, I had he wasn't in, this wasn't even a result of him being bigger than me, but I had a guy, a peer. We would get the belts within the same week. We were very, very close.
Yeah.
But he would always just get the better of me. He'd always be better, and I just felt always second to him.
Yeah.
But he had a better work ethic than I did, and that's what really showed. And he trained hard. He was always like, when guys are hanging out and I'm sitting on the sidelines talking and chatting and having a good time with buddies, you know, he's drilling.
Right.
He's after sparring, he's drilling more. And I was always sort of envious that he had that extra bit of fire that would just cause him to train more, and it showed on the mat. This kid would mop me up, Kevin Liu. Yeah. Kevin Liu was always my kryptonite. It's just crazy, and it's because he worked harder for it, you know.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he passed away in a car accident, and that is such a shame because, like, man, he'd be amazing today, you know. He would still beat me up today. I know it, and he's just a good example of the kind of student you want to be, you know. And he actually has made me a better, more disciplined practitioner, just because I guess that sort of injustice that happened, you know. His journey was cut way too short. And he's just inspiring, you know, to keep in your memory. So
it's a tough one. I think we all kind of have people that are like that in our lives. Mine was Joe Camacho. I just really, no matter what, no matter where, no matter when, Joe, you know, a lot of people like him or not like him, but Joe was always one of those examples that take a fight, go, and not have a problem, you know, and just whatever, didn't matter. And his, again, life was cut short, you know, and it just sucks, you know, because you know that he would have been like still doing what he's doing and still being there. So
if only you could see him today with all of that other work.
Right, exactly. So
all right, do you want to get another?
Yeah, let's do another whiskey. Let's find out what's going on here.